as is always the case. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully this is a little better. And hopefully the people who are here now are actually able to hear me, as opposed to the previous attempt. It's always like this. But hey, what can you do? It is what it is. And at any rate, welcome back. Those of you who are watching this later, welcome back to my Sunday live streams. It's been a while since I've done one. My dungeon design, my Dolmenwood prep. We've actually been playing Dolmenwood quite a bit over the last few weeks. I have with my players. I have two groups now that are going through it, and one is my young nephews, and we are doing Winter's Daughter, and then my regular group, which did Winter's Daughter as part of a West Marches years ago. We're doing just a regular run through the Hag's Addle. Hey there, Blood Wolf Ninja. Yeah, Dolmenwood Take 2. Here we go. Hey, Zatob. Salute. I don't know if that's how you say that, but salute. Hello from the US. And Crow. Hey, Crow. Welcome back. It's been a while since we've done one of these. Glad you guys could make it. Hopefully you'll be able to hang out. I'll be doing this for about an hour. We're doing a bit of a dungeon design video today. I'm doing a bit of a dungeon design video today because my players finally made it into the Hag's Addle. They spent basically every session so far they've spent in the woodcutter's encampment, just talking to NPCs, gathering information, preparing. They're really, really slow about going ahead. It's the most cautious group I've ever had. I think it's because we're doing Dolmenwood now with the Dolmenwood rule set, and I think they're nervous about actually going into the woods. They've done Shadow Dark, they've done 5e. That's kind of the two comfort zones that they've done. So I think they're a little nervous about heading into the wood. They're very paranoid. But they're finally heading into the Hag's Addle. They did last session. They talked to Techwell. They got a whole good conversation there. That was super fun. Spent like half of the session just role-playing between them and Techwell. That was really cool. And then finally, they're heading to Rafflesia. Now, I did not expect them to head to Rafflesia, but actually it makes a lot of sense. So as a quick reminder to everybody, here's my wood. Here's my map. Father Jimes has gone missing. And he has this map that they found, and it has some markings, and they were wondering what that was. And as they've talked to various NPCs, they've pieced together what all of these different locations and little notes are. And it's starting to come together. In fact, one of my players made a really, really cool realization last time. She was like, wait a minute. These X's, those are probably where he's seen the hags, or where he searched, either where he searched or where he's seen the hags moving hut. And everyone's like, oh, that makes sense. It's never beyond Chell. Okay, that makes sense. It's never close to the Rafflesia. Okay, that makes sense. So they're piecing things together, and that's really fun. Yeah, Crow. So exactly, find their own pace. I've also adapted a little bit and changed things on the fly. That's what I always do. I have my idea, I have my story, but they say no strategy, no plan survives contact with the enemy. And so I've had to adapt sort of overall plot that I had in mind, or the kind of what's going on in my mind as we move forward. And I think now at this point, it's pretty clear to me that Father Jimes was in fact taken by the hag, and that all of the struggle and all the other stuff relates to his novice. His novice, Brother Bedegar, was basically working with these mercenaries. He was trying to basically mooch off of his superior's knowledge of the swamp to help these mercenaries find the pit. And then there was some confrontation. He told his master about this. His master went off into the wood to talk to the hag to prevent it from happening. In other words, basically they've split, and Father Jimes has been captured by the hag. Brother Bedegar was taken by these mercenaries to the pit. Or rather, he maybe went with them, but really kind of against his will. He didn't want to go. But they forced him to show them where it was. So they took him with them so that he wouldn't lead them astray or get them lost. He'd be with them. He had to lead them properly. Yeah, Blood Wolf, I 100% agree. Once you have the physical books, which I have right here, once you have the physical books, it's night and day. It really is night and day. It's so much more fun. Okay, so anyway, the players got to Techwell's. They finally got out there, and they talked to Techwell, and he told them a lot of kind of tangential information, and he basically gave them 3 destinations. He said, look, I know that there were adventurers looking for the pit, because Father Jimes talked about that. Brother Bedegar was seen in town talking to some mercenaries who went out into the swamp. That's common knowledge. Okay, well then the players put 2 and 2 together and say, well, probably then they're the ones who grabbed him. They're probably going for the pit. So Brother Bedegar is probably there. Father Gimes might be there, but probably they know at least Brother Bedegar is. So Tackwell said, well, basically, it seems like you have 3 choices. You could go for the pit. You could go to the old village of the Watchers, which he says he thinks is abandoned. And he's right about that. Or at least that there are no Droon there currently. Or he says you could go to see Bragwen, who's the witch who knows the swamp better than literally anyone except the fairies themselves. And she knows what's going on. If anyone does, she is. But she's also very, very unfriendly, and she's not going to just help you for free. She's going to expect something. And so the players were like, okay, well, because we have the 3 choices, let's pick something else. That's always the way that players go, right? Because we have those 3 choices, let's pick something else. And they picked Rafflesia. And the reason they actually did was it made sense. They said, well, okay, first of all, players, they wanted to do a dungeon. And they were like, that sounds like a good dungeon. Sounds like something fun. Let's go do it. So it was kind of a meta choice there. But also they said, well, it will get us closer to Bragwen. We might find something useful there. And if we find something cool there, we can always trade it to Bragwen for more information because we don't have anything that she would want. And they're right about that. They really don't have anything that she would want. And so they're like, well, if we go to Rafflesia, we find a cool relic or an artifact or information there, then maybe we could trade that to Bragwen, and then she could tell us where the hag is. And then we could go to the hag and try to deal with, maybe try to find Father Gimes. So that's the plan right now, is they're going to go to Rafflesia. So I need to flesh that out a little bit for a full session. I need to make it a dungeon that would be playable for a full session. That's what I'll be doing today. So that's the background here, I guess, a bit. As you can see, I'm just going to be using the Rotting Gardens of Rafflesia as the base for this dungeon. It's a great adventure. It's part of a compilation now, the free Shadowdark adventure compilation or adventure compendium they put together a while back. There's a version of Rafflesia in that, but I have the actual original PDF. It's also free. I think you can get it individually for free, but I have this one as well. And as you can see, it's a very simple dungeon. It's just 4 rooms. 5 rooms, I guess, technically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I really like it. I think it's a great little dungeon. It's got a cool corpse blossom theme. Well, it's a rotting garden. And it's easy to adapt it to a sort of fey thing, right? So I'm just going to keep these sorts of random encounters, but I'm just going to expand the dungeon a little bit. So, so that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do a quick dungeon map on Dungeon Scrawl, and I'm going to expand it. Let's see. I'm just going to expand it here a little bit. I don't want to... There we go. All right. So we're just going to create a new map here, and then I'm going to just going to remove some of this stuff here so that way it doesn't show up and bother you guys. Here we go. All right, well, I don't need actually the whole thing. I'll just go like this. Push it off to one side. So I'm just going to expand the map of Rafflesia a little bit, and then we'll fill it out. And it really is going to be a very simple map. I don't want to do too much. So it doesn't even have to be precise rooms. So we're just going to go like this first, and we're going to mirror the actual, let's see, this is going to be how many sides? I think it's 5-sided room? No, not quite, but that'll work. We'll just do something like this. It's a big room. And then go back to the wall mode. Just go like this. Yeah. Okay. Zoom out a little bit. Again, like I said, I'm just gonna recreate this basic map here. And then we're going to expand. Because I like this basic map, but I want it to be a bit bigger. Okay, so that's all good. Then we're gonna go, let's see, we have a round room here, so we're gonna go ahead and back to here. We do one side. We just go boom. Like that. And again, the sizes aren't super important here. Okay, we're just gonna go something like this. All right. And then I guess there technically is a secret door from here to here, so I'll just do, how would I do this? I'll just do it this way. Okay, for now. All right, great. So I don't know if you guys can even see all of that. I hope you can. Yeah, you guys can. Okay, good. Now, how am I going to expand this? Well, this right now is not terribly well looped. It's one of the things. It's such a short dungeon, really. I mean, you can make it from this large room to this small room. There's a little grate, as you can see. If you go to room 4, there's a fountain room. There's a secret passage. So if you unclog the drain pipe, you can go through. So actually, I guess that's fine. It's a nice little loop here. But I'm going to create a second loop. I'm going to create just a few more rooms here. I'm going to go like this. We're going to do off of the circular room, we're going to do 2 exits. And they're both going to lead to individual rooms. And again, these might look huge, but the size isn't terribly important. I can always adapt those in my notes to whatever size I want. I want relative location. We're not going to be doing a VTT, so I'm not going to be showing them 5 feet by 5 feet. We're just going to narrate it. And if there's a battle that is necessary, then we'll do zone combat, like Shadow Dark or something like that. We won't do 5 by 5 tactical combat. I don't tend to do that unless I'm at the actual physical table. I sometimes do. If I was doing 5e, I would, right? 5e. If you don't have tactical combat in 5e, it's way less interesting to me because 5e is, despite the fact that it doesn't look like it at first, it's more or less a combat simulator. It's not a very good combat simulator, but that's what actually that's where a lot of the interest comes from, is super heroic combat simulation. It's pretty good at recreating things like, the Avengers. Okay, anyway, without getting into that ramble too much. Then I think what I'm also going to do, because I want this to be a little bit more expanded, is I'm going to do, how do I do this? Not that. We're going to do a couple secret doors just to provide alternate paths. So there's going to be another room here. And then I think I'll do something like, yeah, Wolf Ninja, there's no set of rules that is particularly, it's so useful as a baseline, the basic mechanic of roll d20, add your modifier, hit a DC, advantage, disadvantage. The basic mechanic is so simple that it can really do anything. The problem is it's not designed to do any specific thing. It's just a very basic thing. So I prefer systems that have subsystems built in with cool mechanics for particular kinds of situations. The basic idea is great. I mean, it's a super useful, flexible thing. That's why Shadow Dark does it so well. It just takes that same exact mechanic. Exactly. Shadow Dark does that better. Exactly. So Shadow Dark just does it better. I think, so I've said this before, but 5th edition from levels 1 to level 4 is great fun. I actually enjoy it quite a lot. I really like low-level 5th edition. As long as you do some changes, you have to make some rule modifications, and you modify some things, and you have to be okay with a few, yeah. But then it basically just plays like Shadow Dark, which is why I like 5th edition level 1 through 5 is basically Shadow Dark. Especially what I always did was I did the long rest rules, and then I would do much more lethal combat. I would up the damage of most monsters, and then it felt just basically like Shadow Dark. Actually, I think I like this. I think I'm just going to lock this last room behind some sort of puzzle or some sort of trap or some sort of lock, and that way you have a couple loops, and then you have some choices about how you're proceeding through this dungeon, and then this last room will pretty much be like a last room. I mean, maybe they can find a way through and into it. That's where the treasure's going to be or whatever it might be. Okay, so that's the basic mechanic. That's the basic thing I'm going to do. It's pretty simple. I'm actually going to add everything else on here. Yeah, Crow. Precisely. Oh, hey, Zogaran, or the Fictionaut. Oh, awesome. Escape from Miklagard is really, really cool. And by the way, I really just recently discovered what Miklagard is. It's the Viking name for Constantinople, or at least that's what I read in some book that was what it came from. And once I saw that, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. It's a really cool adventure. And oh, wow, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to the sequel then. I'll keep an eye out for it. Yeah, if you want a review on the channel, let me know. I will definitely keep an eye out for that. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do here, is this right? I'm just going to export this. So I'm going to shift this over so that way, guys, you guys don't see all of my files everywhere. I'm just going to download this as a high-res PNG, and we're going to name it Rafflesia or Rotting Garden Expanded, and then I'll bring it back. Don't worry, you guys will be able to see. We're going to do 70 pixels per cell. I'm going to do 120 pixels per cell. Rotting Garden, oops, dang it. Rotting Garden 2.0. And we're going to export that. There we go. And then I can drop it out here. And then we can open up that. By the way, guys, I love Dungeon Scroll. Even if you don't get the paid version, I have the paid version at $7 a month. But even if you don't use the paid version, Dungeon Scroll is great because you can make little maps like this super, super, super easily. And then you can easily edit them and add in text and paint and stuff like that, which is what I'm going to do here. So, whoops, what did I do? Did I just close it? What happened to it? That's very strange that that file just vanished. What happened to it? All right, let me look it up. It moved. I'll have to go to downloads. That's what I'll have to do. Oops. There we go. I'm clearly an aficionado when it comes to all this stuff. Yeah. It's there somewhere on the desktop. It just doesn't say it is. All right, well, I'm going to open it up through Paint anyway. Open with Paint. All right. Now we're going to zoom out a little bit. And then we're going to add in some text. All right. So, if you guys go back to the Rotting Gardens, we can see the basic room descriptions. And I'm just going to keep this open for the Rotting Serpent stats and the random encounters. And then I'll adapt some of these things. So I think the Elven Zombie, really quickly, I realized my monster book's over here. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. I hope you can. We're going to be adding in bog zombies. Bog zombies from Dolmenwood. Yeah, here we go. So we're going to add in the bog zombies, but that's the basic stats. So just instead of elven zombies, we're going to use bog zombies. But then I have to explain why this place is here. That's kind of what I want to do today, and expand it a little bit, make the other rooms a little interesting, and explain why this thing is here. So I didn't really know what Rafflesia was. Right? That's one of the problems. Well, I put it on the map because I thought it was a nice fey along the road encounter. I didn't expect the players to say, let's head there for our next session. So that's why, again, I'm expanding it out a bit here. But the basic description of Rafflesia is great, right? You have sodden stone. You have a mechanic for the whole place. So any torches dropped on the floor are just extinguished automatically. You have the a nice set of random encounters, and then you have the Bloom or Rot effect, which is a really cool effect, and I'm going to do that. The difference here is instead of have it be hit point damage, it's going to be con damage. So when they take that that rot effect, if they take it, then they lose constitution points as opposed to just hit points. So what does this mean? Well, this is clearly the effect of some fairy lord or lady, right? This is clearly the effect of some fairy lord or lady. Now, it could be the hag having tormented some loyalist, some minor lady or lord who was loyal to her sister. And so she trapped her here. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the hag's work. And the hag has cursed some, maybe a mortal. Maybe it's a mortal. Maybe it was some mortal seeking her sister's land. And so she was cursed to be locked in this rotting garden by the hag. I do want it to connect to the hag. So as described here, it's Rafflesia is an ancient elven demigoddess devoted to the cycle of life and decay. So it would be easy enough to just say that's Rafflesia is a fairy lady who has a realm that is devoted to life and decay. That'd be simple enough. But I think I want to make that, again, connected to the hag. So I think Rafflesia was, maybe she is an elf, or was, but she was an ancient elf who was a servant of the hag's sister. Now, I forget which hag, or which sister, which fairy is the hag's sister. Looking back here for a minute, this is going to be page, jumping over to the next page, 0908, hex 0908, so it's going to be back a little bit. But yeah, explain why this thing is here. Story of my life, Crow. Yeah, exactly. That's what we do as DMs. We're like, ooh, this is a cool thing. We add it in. And they were like, now what? How does this make sense? It's cool, but how does it make sense? All right. So inside the hag, The Queen of Blackbirds. That makes sense. Okay, so her sister is the Queen of Blackbirds, and that's on page 35. So let me read really quickly about the hag of the Queen of Blackbirds. What do we read? What do we know about her? Okay. A raven-haired, dark-eyed elf lady, cloaked in crow's feathers, who rules over the fair realm of Absinthe. Oh, cool. Okay, so this is Absinthe. The queen is aloof and ignorant of to the concerns of mortal folk, but is for the most part benign toward any mortals who should cross her realm or path. The realm of Absinthe is a great phantasmagoric thornwood, and a vast estate of frozen gardens and dark, cold lakes. Okay, so Rafflesia is cold and thorn-filled. And we're going to add a little bit element of decay to the Queen of Blackbirds. Thank you, Bloodwolf. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit of that to this place as well. So thorns. Thorns and cold. Because I think this relates to a servant of the Queen. She holds great balls and banquets upon barges in the lakes of Absinthe, as she once did upon the river Hamath. It is said that mortals who find their way to Absinthe are welcomed at her banquets. Okay, so I think we could add in an easy, if this is a garden, we could add a feasting room, right? Like a one of these new rooms I've added up here. One of these three is going to be like a room of feasts, a room of celebration. Maybe there's like a ballroom as well. Yeah. That's cool. So we're going to do a ballroom and we're going to do like a dining chamber. And then the last one, I'll have to figure out what that might be. So really quickly though, we'll just mark this. So I have a, oops, that's too small. We're going to go, Breath of Fire works just fine. 72? No, a little bit bigger than that. We're going to do 108. How about that? There we go, that's better. And I like red. Red stands out to me. If I'm making a map for other people, then I don't usually use red because I know people who have red-green color blindness. It makes it hard to see, it just looks like gray. But for me, I'm not red-green colorblind. So I am going to put it here. That's 1. And then we can go 2. Really, because I'm doing this for myself, I could just name them. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. You know what? Forget that. I don't need to number them. I have the number. We're just going to go entrance, and we'll put notes right on the map itself. That way I don't have to worry about reading another page. We'll do entrance. Number 2 is the overgrown room. Overgrown room. I like Breath of Fire. So, okay, one of the weird things about me is that I need to have aesthetically interesting font for my notes. Otherwise, I get bothered by it. It sounds dumb, but it's the case for me. Okay, the corpse flower room. This big circular room is the corpse flower room. I'm going to put it right here. Corpse flower room. Perfect. I'm just going to put it like right there. Corpse flower room. 4 was the fountain room. I'll put that down here. Fountain room. Does anyone else like that? Does anyone else have to have like aesthetically pleasing font for their notes? I sometimes will go to like extreme lengths to make my notes look nice if I'm writing in my book. Like, again, that might sound weird, but I just kind of feel like I need to do it. Okay, and then Shrine to Rafflesia. Now this is where I don't know if we need a Shrine to Rafflesia, because again, she's not a goddess in this. She's just an elf. So maybe it's like a memorial to Rafflesia. Maybe she's actually imprisoned. Okay, so hear me out, guys. The back of this room is a 10-foot tall statue of a woman with skeletal hands holding an urn. Her face is replaced by a carved corpse flower, at the center of which is a glittering magenta jewel. Maybe she's actually imprisoned in the statue. Or maybe it's less like she's like hidden inside it, but maybe it's like her flesh has become this like weird stone that blossoms forth these flowers. So she's actually not like the rotting serpent. Maybe it's like that's actually her or something. Like what I actually want it to be gross and creepy. And like I don't know the players. I don't think the players can save Rafflesia. I don't think that's a thing. But it's some sort of torment or some sort of curse. Maybe they could save her. I don't know, but I think that would involve going to the hag and like making a deal. Something bad happened to this Rafflesia. So I'm going to say Rafflesia's prison. Rafflesia's prison. And I don't think it's the sort of thing the players will know that it's her prison, but it'll help me when I am thinking about it and when I'm explaining it. Okay, so these are the 5 rooms here. Pretty straightforward. We're going to do the ballroom and the dining room here. Yeah. We're going to do the ballroom here. This is going to be the ballroom. And there's going to be like bird motifs as well. Because ballroom and then dining hall. Now the question is, what do you guys think? What should this last room be? Over here. So if you were thinking about this as a place of like a fairy enjoyment, you would have a fountain, a sort of statue room. This is the flower garden itself. You have an overgrown room, sort of like an entry room, maybe like a cloak room. This is where people would pass through. There might be sort of a servant room, right? This is where everyone would, if you're coming here for balls and feasting, fairies are, they would come through the entrance, pass down the hall into the overgrown room, and then, or not, it wasn't overgrown then, right? But it was sort of like a passageway. Like it was another sort of foyer, right? And that's where the servants would stay, and that's where stuff would be. And then you go to the ballroom, do your dancing thing, and then you retire to the dining room for your feasting and for your refreshments as you go back and forth between the ballroom and the dining room. And then there's just the garden, so you can come out here and walk through the garden. And I'm going to make this big, like a big place. So the gardens are going to be big, almost extra dimensional. It's moving into fairy itself. And then you have this sort of offshoot of the garden. Maybe this is a hedge. Maybe, and here, what do you guys think about this? When they pass through the old broken down marble pillars of the entranceway, they find themselves in like this massive hedge maze. What if this place is like a hedge maze? Not really a hedge maze, but like a hedge dungeon. And anytime you try to climb up the hedge, you climb to the top and you find yourself right in the ruin. So it's like you're right just back in that ruin, no matter where you go. No matter how far you go, if you climb out of it, you just back out of it. So that means the players can quite literally get out of the dungeon in a flash if they just climb up from anywhere. I like that. I really like that. But then if you go through those gates and you stay in the maze, you find yourself in separate rooms and chambers. Not chambers exactly. Chambers is the wrong way of putting it. But spaces, right? Open gardens. And I like that a lot better than having this be an underground dungeon. For some reason, I really like open air dungeons. So that's what I'm going to do here. I think it's cool. I think it sounds pretty cool. But that still leaves this last room. What would work here in the context? It could be like an audience chamber where Rafflesia used to meet with during balls and dances, right? She and they would go. She would meet supplicants here. It does sound like she's a fairy lord or a fairy lady. I think she is. I think she's a lesser fairy lady, ally of her sister who ran afoul of the hag. And maybe she's not related to the Queen of Blackbirds at all. Maybe she's just an elf who was all about gardens and flowers. And she was a fairy lady, very important one. And somehow she got trapped here, ran afoul of the hag, and has been imprisoned here. Yeah, Bloodwolf, that is a great suggestion. Okay, Into the Weird and Wild. Yes. Into the Weird and Wild. Okay, here we go. Yes. Okay, great suggestion. I didn't even think about that, of course. So they have rules for outdoor dungeons. Wilderness dungeon. Okay. So forest as dungeons, just advice for how to do it. Trails as corridors. There are no walls in the wilderness. There are no corridors or hallways. Distance is hazard. So that's interesting. What they're thinking of is making the whole forest into a dungeon, which I really like that idea, right? So that instead of having a trap in a hallway, it's quite literally a 6-mile hike through rough, rocky, ragged, overgrown terrain. And that's the hazard, right? Instead of a trap or instead of I love that idea. You just expand your definition of what a hazard is. All right, so this is how to generate one. I have one here. Yeah, so you're doing it over a few miles. I don't want to make it that big. I don't think I want to make it well, I could, I suppose. Huh. What if this was like a massive sub-realm of fairy? But it's a prison, so it's not really like a doorway into fairy. Exactly. That kind of is. I like that idea. It really helps. Okay, I'm rethinking this. What if these are locations in a wilderness? An overgrown, well, I still like the idea of making it smallish, but maybe it's like something like a castle or an extended grounds. And that would make this perfect then as a audience hall or like a throne room. Her prison is somewhere else than the throne room. Or it would be fitting if she were imprisoned in her throne room, though, right? Like it would be an irony that a hag would love, it seems to me, to imprison someone in their throne room. So maybe Rafflesia's prison is her throne room or her audience chamber. Yeah, Bloodwolf, so distance could be an illusion. I like that too, that it feels like you're traveling, but maybe you're not. Maybe you're going closer, further. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, I need to figure out this last location. Let me think about what we get in here, because this book has a whole bunch of cool locations. Let me go back to 100 weird locations. Here we go. Bathing pools. Oh, it could be right there. Bathing pools. Yeah. After you come off the corpse flower room, you go to the bathing pools. That could be cool. Or just a pool. Well, we already have a fountain. We already have a fountain. Okay, maybe not that. Yeah, exactly, Crow. So I think that it's sort of like a fairy ring. There's going to be kind of the sense of a fairy ring going through those cracked and old marble pillars. And as you step through them, you realize you're somewhere else. And those pillars are still there, and you can always go back through them. But you've stepped into fairy, and that's what Rafflesia is. Rafflesia is a bit of a fairy dimension, or at least half of it. It's a halfway. It's a little bit like. It sounds like I'm developing a little bit like the tomb itself, not crossing through, but a little bit like the tomb itself in Winter's Daughter. How there's like this sort of sense of passing through an intermediate. If you go through that room down below the tomb, it's kind of like passing through a sort of interdimensional space. Maybe this is like that. Okay, anyway, the Bliss Fields, the Boreal Woods, the Bramble Maze, the Broken Shrine, Cliff Face Amphitheater. That's kind of cool. Could make this an amphitheater over here. If it is much bigger. It could be a statue garden, a statuary. Well, that's where Rafflesia would be. That's maybe where she's trapped. I don't know. There's so many good ideas. Council of Blind Archmages, Darkly Lake, Deciduous Grove, a Desolate Crater, Devil's Garden. We basically already have that. A Fairy Grove, Exiles Camp, Enormous Owl Statue. The Fester Pond, the Fields of Silence. Do I really need this extra room? I could just cut it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rooms. 8-room dungeon's not bad. 7-room dungeon's not bad. It's pretty small. But that's enough for one session, especially with the speed. It might even be 2 sessions, the speed at which we play. We're pretty slow. The Hysterical Hermit, the Idol of Bones, the Junkyard. Here, let me move this over a little bit so you guys can see a little better. I think that, yeah, there we go. The Irebriar, the Mead Tree, the Lair of the Mega Raccoon. There's so many funny things here. Maybe it's the path to something else. Maybe it's the way past this sort of interdimensional realm, beyond it, and it's blocked. That way you can't get into fairy proper. Mirror Cops. A path runs to its repeat themselves every so often. Sure enough, they are exact duplicates down the cell level. Beware, some moves, perhaps a duplicate of you. Well, there's a lot of different things you could do here. But I don't know exactly how to do it. Let's see. Maybe I'll just cut it off. Because nothing stands out to me, and I don't want to force something. I don't know if you guys know what I mean. Like, you have a mark of not inspiration, but you like decide something. You're like, okay, I'm gonna have 8 rooms, and then you're like, oh, nothing strikes me as useful to do for that 8th room. I'm sure I could find something that would be interesting enough to the players. Maybe it's just like a secret. Maybe there is a secret door here after all, or a puzzle that is much harder to solve. The players don't necessarily have to solve it. Maybe it's the lair of a creature. Yeah, something has settled here, right? Right, you got to make, there's some monster that's particular here. It's not just a bunch of random encounters. You have those creepy zombies. So what's making the zombies? That's a good question, right? What's making the zombies? You have oozes, fair enough. You have skeletons, and yeah, what's making the skeletons and zombies? The curse of the place, okay, could be the rot itself. Maybe that's what it does, the rot flower. These are flower cursed creatures. So some sort of horrible flower creature, right? Like a dryad that's all messed up. Is there something like that in... There's harpies. What do we got? Kelpies, jack-o'-lanterns. Got a lot of fungus creatures. Is there anything like that in Dolmenwood? Something that would be more in tone with the world than like a dryad. Are there dryads? I don't think there are dryads in Dolmenwood. There are Droon. Yeah, there are no dryads in Dolmenwood. I mean, it could be some kind of weird antler wraith, basically. Sinister spirits made manifest as looming humanoids cloaked in black with stag skull heads and bony claws, servants of grim forgotten gods doomed to haunt rings of standing stones. Nah, that's not really right here. So bog corpses, that's what the elven zombies, but I'm going to make them different. They're not just bog zombies. Bog corpses, they're going to be bog corpses with this corp blossom that's gone through them. Now, there is the rotting serpent at the end, which is wrapped around the statue. I think that's still going to be there. I'm still going to do this. So there will be this rotting creature that comes around her. A bog serpent. Basically make that a bog salamander, actually. Yeah, that's a bog salamander. That's perfect. Translucent, white, 8-foot-long, carnivorous amphibian with toothless maws, glassy claws, and bulbous eyes that glow like lambent moons. Creep through the undergrowth in search of prey. Let's see. Frog sporting hat. There could be a room full of pitcher plants that elf nobles were thrown into as a burial, and they crawl out after a while all flowered up. Oh, that's good. So she, of course, because she has attendants. Of course. So she has attendants. And that's good. Yeah, and these horrible corpse flowers. Yeah, so it's like a field of the corpse flowers. So this is the corpse flower room. But then maybe they're in here. I think I'm going to take that idea, frog hat, and I'm going to put that in the corpse flower room. Because right now, if we look at the corpse flower room, it's pretty straightforward. It just says, this room is empty except for a water-filled planter housing an enormous stinking corpse flower. The word bloom is inscribed upon the planter on Elven. Under the flower is an Elven exoskeleton entwined with roots, along with 15 gold pieces and a rotten coin purse. So it's very, very simple and small. I'm going to make it a big garden. This is the heart of the garden. And it's going to have these massive plants that have corpses, old corpses that are thrown into them. Yeah. I love that. So I'm stealing your idea, but I'm going to put it in this room. That still leaves this extra room to be decided. But let me look through. So definitely a bog salamander. Yeah, exactly. So this is definitely a bog salamander down here. So instead of this rotting serpent, let's look at the stat differences. How much harder are we talking? This is hit points 15. The bog salamander is hit point 15. This is AC 13. This is AC 12. So basically, it's identical. 3 extra hits, 3 extra hit points, but 1 less AC. So 5%. Yeah, that's almost exactly right. So bog salamander. This has 2 claws attacks. This only has 1 bite attack. Each claw is plus 3, 1d6. This is plus 4, 1d8. So again, that's just about the same. It's amphibious. It has eye glow. It can bedazzle the enemy. Anyone within 60 feet seeing the bog salamander's eyes. Okay, so we're going to say that the rot has burst through its eyes. That way it doesn't have that anymore. So it's a bog salamander who crawled in here and got... So you can still leave the bog salamander, but it's a bog salamander that's been cursed by this place. It has the corpse blossom. And that explains its venom. So instead of claws, it has a bite. And we're just going to have 1 bite. Maybe we'll have 1 bite, 1 claw. Yeah, we'll do that. 1 bite, 1 claw. So that way you can have the bog salamander. It's not a new creature for the world, right? It's a creature in the world of Dolmenwood. It's just been infected by this place. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. So bog salamander with no eye glow, with claw, bite, and then, yeah. It's a level 4 creature, which is a little bit more challenging. This is a level 3 creature. But in Shadow Dark, they're each level 1, and that would mean they can face a creature of level 3. And so the challenge rating equivalent for Shadow Dark works, which is what this is built for. And in Old School Essentials, that would kill them. That would certainly kill them. But I am adapting their hit points. I'm using my hit point rules, which you guys can find in the description of this video. So I won't have to worry about instant death. This is dangerous, but it's not going to kill the party, most likely. But along with all the other stuff they might fight here, and wandering out in the wilderness when they're only going to be healing 1 con every rest unless they get back to town, this could be a dangerous thing. So I actually really like this. Okay, cool. So bog salamander. Let me mark that down here. Bog. Oops, here. We're going to go to 94 font size. No, I said 94. Oh, okay, I'll just modify it later. Bog salamander with no eyes and the no, with no eyes. 1 claw and 1 bite. And that's just going to be, so +3. 1 claw, d6. 1 bite, d8. I'm actually going to drop it to +2 because it's blind. Yeah. Yeah, no fun. When in doubt, everything is a bear stat with a claw bite. I love that. Yeah, exactly. Claw, bite, man. Everything's bears. Everything's secretly bears. Bears with wings, griffin. Bears with petrify, basilisk. Bears with fire, dragon, and a tail. But yeah, it's all everything's bears. I had a player who was genuinely scared of bears. And I remember I told him that rule where as a GM you could just use it's bear stat for everything, and he was like, so basically what you're saying is I'm terrified of everything. I was like, yeah, that's fair. All right, and then it has the corpse venom, but I will with 1d8 plus venom. And I'm going to put the venom rule on this map up here because a lot of creatures might have it. We're just going to put it right here. Oops, corpse, blossom, venom. That's true. I agree. No fair. Yeah. Never. Oops. All bears. Exactly. And I agree. You should be terrified of monsters. That's why I try not to describe things, and I always try to modify creatures. Always, because my players are used to goblins. But even goblins, I said this in a video recently. Even goblins are terrifying if you describe them right. Right. Hordes of little. I mean, if you guys have ever seen that movie, The Descent, those are basically ghouls, right? They're kind of like goblin ghouls, and they're flesh eaters. They're horrifying in that movie. Because they're just like, they're well done, and it's dark, and you don't get to see them well, and it's already kind of terrifying. It's just, yeah, you can make anything scary if you describe it right. Okay, so DC 12 con or blossom bursts from flesh. D4 con damage plus dis on all attacks and spell checks. Are there spell checks in Dolmenwood? You don't have to roll to cast spells. No. On all attacks until removed by an action. There we go. Okay, so that's the Corpse Blossom Venom. We're going to drop this down to 94. There we go. That's better. We're going to, underline. Oh, it is underlined. Okay, good. It's just saying it's misspelled. Corpse Blossom. It doesn't know what a Corpse Blossom is. Okay, there we go. Let's see, the anime Goblin Slayer helps show off the goblins can be terrifying. I've never actually seen that. Goblin Slayer. But I like anything where goblins are scary. Anything where goblins are scary. That's a win. Okay. So, Rafflesia's Prison. Bog Salamander with no eyes. +2, 1 claw, d6, and 1 bite, d8 plus venom. Now, I can use the rest of it, rest of the description here. So basically, I don't know if you guys see what I'm doing here. I'm going to use the book for the main descriptions of each room until I change them, and then I'm going to put the changes on my map. That's basically what I'm doing. Because I like the rest of this. So here's one question, the archway. Do I really want it to say for the glory of Lady Rafflesia? May she ever bloom and rot. I mean, it could be. That sounds kind of haggish and ironic. I think the script is going to be carved through whatever the inscription was before. That way it's clear that this has been changed from its original purpose. So maybe it says for the glory of Lady Rafflesia, that's there, and then added to it in more, in the same script, so it's fairy, but in a sort of more jagged script. So in the same language, but in a more jagged script, it says, may she ever bloom and rot. That's been added. I like that. So I'm going to add that here. May she ever bloom, bloom and rot. Added later in jagged script. And again, we're going to make this even smaller because that's too big. There we go. That's better. 74. That's what I'll do from here on out, I think. Okay. So there we go. We have the entrance, which is just a regular thing here. The slippery steps are going to be there. We have to add some things for each of these rooms, for sure. Descriptions of each of these rooms. I still haven't thought of what this room back here is, guys. I'll leave it for now. But okay, the bloom or rot effect. Oh, that's just the same. So I'll just have this be the venom. Oh, you can gain hit points. DC 11 to gain D4 hit points from the fountain itself. Yeah, maybe that's what the fountain will be a fountain. Oh, Frog, you wrote it. When you say you wrote this, you mean you literally wrote this adventure. Oh my goodness. That is okay. Awesome. I was so confused. I was like, when you said I wrote, oh wow. Okay, well, first of all, congratulations. It's a great adventure. It's a great adventure. I'm just adapting, as you can see, to my needs particularly, but it's a great adventure. It's an awesome baseline. Okay. Well, that's that's really cool to hear. Man, I don't know how I would feel about someone taking my adventure and carving it up and changing it. I hope I'm not offending you at all. That's not my intention here, by the way. Anything I say, there's a reason I'm picking this adventure. It's a great one as the baseline. I just want it to be a little bigger. I was actually going to run it as is until they said, again, like as a place on the road they could just explore. Oh, I see. It's kind of redundant with the Corpse Blossom room. It's just a pool you can chuck bodies into to resurrect them. Okay, yeah. Well, still, that's really cool. That's really, really cool. Yeah, I'm just going to add them in. Okay. Perfect. So I still have to think of that extra room, though. Let's see. Is there anything else, reading through that, is there anything else I want to change? Overgrown room. Thorny vines with pale pink roses choke this room. So I just want to add in the description of this as more of a foyer, more of a servant's waiting room, a cloakroom, a place to disrobe from all of the stuff that you would have to, throw onto yourself as a traveler, and then you can go from there into the ballroom. So I don't want to take away anything here. Thorny vine trap. Stepping on the vines trigger tendrils to stretch out and snatch an adventurer in a thorny net. Take D8 damage and trapped until they're cut out. Cutting carefully takes 3 rounds. Doing so quietly takes 1 round. Requires DC 12 to avoid taking D6 damage. That's a really good trap, especially if you use a lot of those random encounters. Now, I tend to use the underclock die, and that makes any delay really, really fun. Because underclock, you feel the growing tension, as opposed to just random encounter checks. So this is perfect with the underclock die, because it takes time, unless you want to go quick, in which case you're going to take some damage. So it's like, okay, do I want to take damage, or do I want to go longer and have that underclock die tick down and get closer and closer to the inevitable encounter. If you guys don't use the underclock die, by the way, you all really should. It changes the dynamics so well, in my opinion. I love the underclock die. Okay, so this is perfect. I'm just going to add some stuff. Corpse flower room. This is the one I want to expand as well. So instead of it being empty, I want it to be a field of flowers. Like this is a whole garden. So there's pathways through the different varieties. They're all kind of toxic and they're all kind of corrupt. And then there are the particular corpse flowers, which are huge. And you have like an old skeletal hand hanging out of one. And one of them has a... So something has to be upkeeping this. Bloodwolf Ninja, he said the groundskeeper's room. Someone is putting corpses that they find in the bog into these flowers. People aren't just wandering down here. Something's going out there and bringing them back. So there is some sort of creepy hag servant who lives here. Groundskeeper's room. Exactly right. That's what's back here. Groundskeeper. Now, I don't know if I want to call it the groundskeeper. What would we call it? The steward? It's a particular servant, former servant of Rathlesia who's been cursed to keep this place going, to keep to capture people and drag them in here. Or if they're caught out in the woods, even if they're just dead bodies out in the bog, to take them here. It could be like a troll. They already ran into a troll who was growing fungus out of the bodies. Obviously, that's what trolls do in Dolmenwood. No, trolls are too strong. I don't think I'm going to do a troll down here. I think it's just going to be like an elf. A former servant or like some sort of boggin or something like that. A red cap? It could be a red cap. Yeah, maybe it's a little red cap. Now, they're technically Prince Mallowheart's minions. Yeah, could it be a Hornswoggle Soul Sparrow? That's a good... Let me look at the Hornswoggle. Hornswoggle. Oh, from a few weeks ago. That's right. That's what it is, the Hornswoggle. Did we ever decide what that was? Someone mentioned it. Someone described it. I think I have it in my notes. Do I have it in my notes? Let me look. The Hornswoggler. A creature with a mouth like a trumpet that mimics voices, lures victims with their names, and drains brains with a trumpet mouth. That's horrible. That's great. So it's the lair of the Hornswoggler. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. That's super creepy. I'm putting it in there. Lair of the Hornswoggler. And that's what it does. It lures creatures with their voices, grabs them. Doesn't necessarily drain their brains. Maybe it does, and it throws them in the corpse flower. Yeah, it drains their brains because they're zombies. That's where they're coming from. Hornswoggler. Lair. Man, that's good. Okay, 108. Oops, not 801. 108. Boom. Hornswoggler's lair. That is excellent. I love that. You specialized in creepy. That's great. That's really good. Okay, so there we go. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to take that trap that Frog has in the overgrown room, and I'm going to make it the viney passage. So, what's it called again? The thorny vine trap. Thorny vine trap hall. So I'm taking that trap and I'm moving it into the hall. That way, well, actually it's 2 words and that actually helps the, there we go, helps the spacing. The Thorny Vine Trap Hall. Come on. Ah, my mouse is freaking out. There we go. All right. There we go. So that way the overgrown room, I can make it kind of what it is. The entrance, so these are going to be creepy, creepy rooms if they go to this way. There's going to be water flowing out of the fountain room down this way, and it's going to be like pooling in the entrance. I'm going to do a water pool because the drain is plugged, right? The fountain room's drain is plugged. That makes sense. So there's water pooling from fountain. And that means I can put the creature, players are always afraid of pooling water, right? They're always afraid of it. They might drink it, but there's a healthy amount of fear for pooling water. Because Yeah, so I'm just going to put it right there because that applies to all the hallway and the fountain room itself. Because if we go down to the fountain room, a debris clogged grate in the floor covers a 3-wide drain pipe. So the grate is clogged, and that means the water is overflowing. And that's what it says here, right? If you look up here, it's in the center of a huge 2-tower top of the skull, lowered circled sections circle it. The fountain overflows into the room, covering the floor in 2 feet of murky water. And then that water, I'm going to say, is flowing down the hallway all the way to here. And I can put some bog zombies down in the hall, like underneath the water level. Now, here's a question. Do I want these elven warrior statues to animate and attack if they take the coins in the fountain? This is good. These are good treasures. Do I want? I might. So, the Scroll of Shield of Faith is something I'd want to change because I'm not using Shadow Dark. So I don't necessarily want to do the Scroll of Shadow. And the 200 ancient elven silver coins. Are they going to steal those? Yeah. This was a fountain room where people were for partying, right? And there was a elven nobles were tossing coins into the water. Yeah, that makes sense. So there's a bunch of silver down there. I like that. Well, it wouldn't be silver because elves can't have silver. So we'll say it's gold. Yeah, it's just gold. There's gold down there. And then there's muck up there. Okay, so this is all perfect. The overflowing urn in Reflexious Prison, that works. The urn is decorated flower and bone motif and continue to pour water until removed from the statue to activate it. Bloom is spoken, which fills water once per day. That's good. I like that. Magical flower, scarab of protection. That's really cool too. So here's what I would change about that scarab of protection. It's a flower. It's a brooch, a magical flower brooch carved from bone, but it's actually just, yeah. Oh, never mind. Okay, I completely misread that. That's exactly what you were saying, Frog. Totally. Yeah, it's a flower. But here's how I'm going to change it. Now, does the scarab of protection, does it dig into your skin? I don't remember if the scarab protection digs into your skin, but that's what I'm going to say this brooch does. You put it on you clasp it onto your clothing, and it grows down and implants itself into your skin. And if you remove it, it cuts out and bleeds, and it's gross, right? Because it's all about the rot in this. So this particular brooch, wherever you clasp it, it grows into you. That's what I think. Anyway, I think that's a cool idea. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do there. But that's a change I can do just on the fly. I don't need to write that down on the note. And then this drain pipe leads to the other side. Now, here's a question. What is preventing, maybe this is a way of putting it, why would the players take the drain pipe from the fountain room to Reflessia's prison unless there's something blocking this path, making it difficult? So I think I'm going to do another Thorny Vine Trap Hall. This place as well. So these are both Thorny Vine Trap Halls. Thorny Vine Trap Hall. I don't know. Does that make sense? Basically, I want the players to have choice. So, okay, well, it looks like this drain is going the same direction. Maybe you can see through into the room and you can see that there's another fountain. Or I don't know exactly what, but this drain leads from this to this. I want there to be a reason for the players to kind of open up a gross, corroded drain and maybe try to push their way through it. And I think if you do a hallway that is much longer and also has these thorny vines, and it's going to be a mess to get through, it's going to take some time. The players are going to look for alternate ways through. Yeah. So another Thorny Vine Trap Hall. Okay, I like that. So this is the fountain room. I don't need to do anything much more there because there's going to be some bog creatures. I'm gonna add in a few set encounters. I think I'm gonna add a few in. The ballroom, the dining hall, and the Hornswoggler's lair. Those are things I really need to change. Or change is the wrong word. Expand on, right? That's kind of the way I should put it. Expand on. Yeah. One of the things I'm really happy about here, I have to say, guys, is that the last 2 streams I've done have just had horrible stream health. It's been like down into like the bottom the whole time, and it seems like it's just been good this whole time. I can't tell. I mean, I can't hear myself or anything like that, but it seems like it's been good audio, and the video hasn't fallen too far behind. I can't tell if that's exactly true, but I think it's the case that the video hasn't fallen too far behind. So I'm very happy about that, because I was honestly keeping me from doing these live streams, because it was like you guys were hearing me and seeing me like 4 or 5 minutes after what I was saying. It made it very hard to like have a good back and forth with people. I like hanging out. That's why I want to do this, is to hang out with people. It made it very hard. Hey Diego, welcome. Glad you could make it. I'm probably going to be going for about another 40 minutes, 40 minutes or something like that. We'll see. Hey there, Harry. Are you running the Dolmenwood rules or Shadowdog? Right now we're running Dolmenwood rules with a couple modifications. So I'm using the sanity and health rules that I developed for my Curse of Strahd Shadowdog campaign. I'm just porting them in here. And so that's pretty straightforward, because the basic mechanic is the same there. Hey, Gami. Hello, hello. Welcome. And then I'm doing I'm actually doing a lot of the basic Dolmenwood rules, like simultaneous initiative, or rather you roll for side-based initiative, and if you roll the same thing, it's simultaneous. I'm changing the spell casting up a bit. So basically I'm making things a little bit more difficult for spellcasters. So in order to get new spells, priests have to actually visit the shrine, and they have to pray there. So clerics in Dolmenwood don't have access, friars in Dolmenwood don't have access to the whole spell list. They have to go and actually recover the shrines and pray there. But then I've added some extra rules to make that better, so that you can cast the spell that you pray at. Friars get it in there, unlock their list, all of that. So I've added those in. Yeah, and I think sanity works so well with Dolmenwood, right? Because it's not the same sort of like gothic mind insanity that you get. It's more like the insanity of Alice in Wonderland or something like that, right? The insanity of fairy, which is a very, like, have you guys ever seen Jonathan Strange or Mr. Norrell? Right? They talk about how the madman and the madman has a connection to magic and fairy that the normal doesn't have. And so I really wanted to keep the sanity rules in. But also for fairies, I wanted to include a rule that actually, I forget who invented it. Maybe it was Crow, maybe it was you, but this idea of having the fairies also take sanity, but for like very different reasons, right? So fairies are also dealing with their sanity, but it's related to how closely bound to the world they are. And so the more mundane that they become, the more they have to take the sanity loss. The more regular magic affects them, human magic affects them, the more they have to take the sanity, because they're getting bound. Yeah, Gami, that was you. Super cool. So I'm adding in some cool rules that help ground it a little more, and that make magic more particular. Each kind of magic is different. Yeah, exactly. The banal is what the pathetic, right? Not the pathetic, but the pathetic. That's what gets the elves to kind of have this sort of sanity effect. I like that a lot. And again, human magic too. So if they're affected by divine casting, for example, if they're affected by it, well, they're made more mundane. They're made more real, and that in this world, and that hurts them. That makes them lose who they are. Start to go insane. Okay, so it's been super fun so far. I mean, again, like I said, I'm running 2 simultaneous campaigns in this, and it's been so great. Although, I have to say, one of the campaigns has been put on hold, the one with my nephews, because we've been playing just mountains of Hero Quest. I don't know what it is, but they've gotten into a huge Hero Quest kick, and so we've done like, I don't know, 9 different adventures in Hero Quest over the past couple of weeks. They live really close, so just constantly coming over, and we're playing Hero Quest. I love Hero Quest. It's like the epic dungeon crawler. It's such a good dungeon crawler, and so we've been playing a ton of that. And so since we've been doing that, Dolmenwood has been put on the back burner, that one group. But anyway. All right, so going back to the adventure, I honestly don't think there's anything else that I need to change from this. The Elven Warrior statues, that's the one thing I'm hesitating on, because I don't think... Now, it says guards. I think it's just the stats that they're given are just guards, not like stone golems or anything like that. And so that would be that would be something that's doable. But I want there to be that gross stone flesh. So maybe they're her personal guard. They were Rafflesia's guard, her loyal knights, fairy knights. And they have been turned into the same sort of stone flesh that she has. And so they're not exactly stone. It's softer stone. It's this weird corruption flesh stone or something like that. I don't know how to describe it. And that means that I can still have them quote unquote animate, but they're not just guards, and they're not just statues, golems or gargoyles, because gargoyles are pretty strong in Dolmenwood, I think. Let me check. Gargoyles. Going to G. Here we go. Yeah, they've each got 14 AC, 18 hit points. Oh, weird wood instead of stone. Yeah, weird wood. Or it could be, soapstone horrors. Yeah, that's pretty cool too. Oh. Remember the fern art, the art of fernging? Well, maybe that was taught to the people by not the Droon, but by fairies. And so these guys are like ferned. They were turned into wood, and then they were ferned into like human or something. I don't know how to do it exactly, but yeah, I don't know. Oh, Gami, I was just saying that friars. What I do with friars and clerics is that right, they can't pick a spell. So first of all, I have every friar and cleric pick a patron saint, their particular patron, the one that inspires them. So they pick a particular patron, and they can always cast that patron spell, even if they haven't prepared it, and even if they haven't gone to the shrine. So they pick a patron to them, who is their and that gives them a little bit of extra preparation. So they can't cast it obviously if they're out of spell slots, but it's always on their preparable spells list. Whoever their patron spell is. And then once they've prayed at a shrine, they can always add them to their list, and they can prepare those spells too. Yeah, exactly, Crow. And then I say that they have automatic access to all of the shrines that are in the major cities. And then I think I swapped one of the 3 martyrs who gets greater healing for the lesser healing spell. That way you can always prepare lesser healing. Greater healing is somewhere out in the world. You have to find it. So I swapped those. Because one of the 3 martyrs, I think, has access to greater healing. And so I didn't want them to have that right away. So I said, no, you have, you still have to only cast the level of spell that you can cast, and you have to be able to prepare it. But what I said was anytime a friar prays at a shrine, he gets all of his spell slots back. So if you're in the middle of a dungeon and you come across a shrine, it takes an hour, but if you're sitting there and you're praying, you can get all of your spell slots back. So friars have a big limitation, but if they can find a shrine in the middle of an adventure, then they have that guaranteed boost to all of their spells. They get all of their spell slots back. So that's a big reason to go for the shrines, because then you're going to have adventures about them. You're going to use your spells as you go, and then you're going to get them back when you pray. So yeah, that's how I do that. That's what I do. All right. So the question is weird wood. I think weird wood is good. I like that. Soapstone horrors. Yeah, Harry Raven. That's a good term for it too. I think I'm going to use weird wood, and I think I'm going to make them. Weird wood is just flesh that's been wooded. Weird wood is just. So we're going to say weird wood guards. Weird wood guards. Now the question is, what stat block do I use? That's a question. I could just use skeletons. Because skeletons have that bone. Kind of like weird wood. Kind of like bone. I don't have to, of course, call them skeletons. I could just use the skeleton stat block. What are we looking at here? It's 12 AC, 4 hit points. They're silent. They can see in the dark. They take half damage from cutting or piercing. No, it should be the other way around. It should be they take half damage from piercing or bludgeoning, right? Because they're wood. They take more damage from cutting weapons. Yeah, that's right, Harry Raven. Yeah, exactly. So most villages have a shrine, but friars are very, very rare. Clerics are very, very rare. So there are lots of people who pray, but clerics and friars are quite rare. So not every village priest is a cleric or a friar. In fact, very few of them are. Friars are travelers, and clerics are basically only trained. In the way I'm running Dolmenwood, clerics are basically the only clerics you're going to find. NPC clerics you're going to find are clerics of Saint Faxus, clerics of Saint Sedge, or clerics of Saint Cygnus. So they're like the paladins, basically. And so there's only a handful of them. So the players are kind of unique. Yeah. Let's see. Mugwudge's breath make people into wood. Ooh, Bayor. Welcome, by the way, Bayor the Old. And Mugwudge. I'm going to look at that up. Mugwudge. Mogglewomps, Mosslings, Mold Oracles, Mugwudge. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. That's cool. Yeah, for sure. Maybe they come from the same origin. Or whatever turned these guys into... Ooh! Simple enough. Well, because there's a way to save them. Woodified victims can be restored to life by magic that causes plants to grow, or polymorphs a target. And then they grow like into trees. So it's not quite the same, but I think there's going to be some like, origin connection there, or just similar magic, similar nature. So Weirdwood guards, we'll use skeleton stats. Yeah, we'll use skeleton stats, but we'll say that they're equipped because there's just 4 of them. Yeah, and they're not undead exactly, so they can't be turned. Skeleton stats without with 1/2 damage from pierce or stabbing or bludgeoning. So we're gonna, first of all, we gotta make sure this is the right size. I'm gonna drop this down. 74. There we go. Weirdwood guards. Yeah, like that. No, I'll put it over here. Okay. Hey, Violet. Great. Thank you. Great to have you here. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, what else do I need to do? I need to provide... okay, so we're going to say corpse flower room. Giant garden with huge... what would you say, section of huge body holding flowers. That's what the corpse flower room is. So that's my change there. And again, I can narrate this as we go. And because the random encounter tables is perfect, it's just a great, it's short, but that's all you need if they're flavorful. We have bog zombies, the gray ooze. Now that's, maybe I'll swap this out for the hornswoggler. And the way that I always do this is if there's a big boss monster, I always have like the first 2 times you would encounter it, it's like a sign of its presence, and then the sound of it coming or something like that. And then the 3rd time you roll that, that's when they come. Because maybe just 2. I'll just have 2 in this case. So I'm going to swap out 3 here, the gray ooze with the hornswoggler. But then you've got these, and the algae-covered skeletons are not going to be algae-covered skeletons. They're going to be these wood weirds, these wood weird guards. So rot flower, which I can use the basic stats. Do I want to use a rot flower? I just said that this encounter table is perfect, and I think I'm changing every element. But basically keeping them the same. I mean, they're going to be very, very close. What would I use instead of the rot flower? Is there something like that in Dolmenwood? I mean, I know there are creatures like the red slob. No, that's not the Pook Moral. No. Yeah, so the hornswoggler uses mimicry to lure. Oh, so perfect. So they hear their own voices calling to them because it mimics their own voices. Yeah, so they hear each other calling. That's a good one. Yeah. That's perfect. That's so creepy, Crow. I love it. Slime hulks are too big. Mold oracle? No, that's sentient. A marsh lantern? Oh, marsh lanterns. But that's pretty strong. Yeah, it's a level 4 creature. I don't want to do another level 4 creature. Jack-o'-lanterns are too... Yeah, so, some sort of fungi, but like modified to make it flower. Because I do want to use it as a flower. A rot flower. What is the rot flower? Let me open up Shadow Dark really quickly and look at what the rot flower... I might just be able to run that straight up. Shoot. I have all of these. What am I talking about? I have all of the Dolmenwood, all of Shadow Dark creatures. Do I have the Rot Flower in there? I don't think I do. Never mind. I was confused. Shadow Dark RPG. Here we go. Premium Shadow Dark. All right. It's on page 249, I think is what it said. So let me go down to creatures, monster statistics. We're going to go down to Rot Flower. Rot Flower, Reaver, Roper, Rock, Rot Flower. Here we go. So, carnivorous flowers as large as a human. They reek of carrion. They don't move. AC 9, hit points 10, attack, bite 1, plus toxin for D4 rounds. So yeah, that's actually perfect. Why would I need to do anything else? I can just use the Rot Blossom here. I'm going to copy that. And we're going to go like this. Oh, that's really small. We're going to do Breath of Fire. Where is it? We're keeping that same style. We're going to do 74. And we're going to do red. Okay. Rot Blossoms. Go like this. Boom. Rot Blossoms. There we go. I don't have to underline this. All right. Yeah. That's perfect. But actually, I'm not going to use this toxin. I'm going to use the venom. Because I know what the venom is. Venom. So it's the Corpse Blossom venom. Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, exactly, Violet. It's basically Dolmenwood anyway. Because here's the thing. The Dolmenwood stat block, like, I did this. I'm really happy that I did that exercise before I did anything with Dolmenwood. I went through and I went through the entirety of the Dolmenwood monster manual, and I transferred them all over to the Shadow Dark stat block. And I'm really glad that I did, because what I realized was I don't need to do that. It was an excellent exercise, because I realized that basically you can just run one or the other for both books, and you don't need to even transfer them. Like this stat block, if you guys can, like, this is just this works just fine in Dolmenwood. Right? AC 9, hit points 10, attack 1 bite, +1, D4 plus venom. And the venom is a con check. You can just, instead of a con check, right, just make it a saving. Just make it a save. Because that's the, Dolmenwood has save against poison. That's all you have to do. Save against poison. So it's quite literally no work. You can just use the same book for both. It makes it so easy. Any old school game, like, it's not even that I have to, I'm beating a dead horse here, but it's not even that I have to change anything. Oops, dang it. Oh no. No. That means I am going to have to redo that whole thing. That's frustrating, but that's okay. It could be worse. Here we go. 74. Breath of Fire. Breath of Fire. Here we go. Open this up a bit. Remove this toxin. Switch it to venom. Close this up here. Plus venom. All right, and then we go Rot Blossoms. So those are just going to be growing everywhere. And then when I roll that random encounter, if I roll that, they open up and they start spewing their spores. I just watched Stranger Things Season 2 last night, and there are those creepy bulbous growths down in the tunnels. And first when Hopper and then when Dustin go down there, it like opens up and sprays those spores on their face. That's what I'm picturing now with these Rot Blossoms. Okay. So I'm putting him right there. Boom. All right. So I'm going to save this. That way I don't forget to do that later because it hasn't saved yet. Okay, there we go. That would be a disaster if I close this. All right, so let's see. Harry Raven. So you mentioned you have two Dolmenwood groups. Are they in the same instance where each part actually could potentially affect the other? Yes, they are in the same world. One is about 6 days ahead of the other, and they're in different places. So this group obviously is in Hagsaddle. The other group is out west near Colstoke Keep. They're technically serving, what's his name? Not Nodlock. What's his name? The half Briggle, half human guy. Gosh, I can't think of his name. Baron something. Totally blanking on his name right now. But they're serving him, and he wants the sword from the famous tomb that was somewhere lost nearby. Basically, he wants Sir Chide's sword. And so they were sent by him to go into this barrow, basically, and steal this famous hero's sword. Because he's not a very good guy. He doesn't care about grave robbing, right? As long as there's a great sword down there, and he wants to conquer half of Dolmenwood. He wants that great sword, so he sent his knights, his servants down there, and the players were serving him. So they went down into this tomb of Sir Chide. Oh, it's not Garsnack. Gosh, he's the lord out in the west. It's strange. I can literally not think of it right now. But yes, Harry Raven, they are in the same world. What they do could affect the other. But they're in different parts of the wood, and they're very different. Merkin, there he is, Lord Merkin. Yeah. That's what his name is, Merkin. Okay. So all that I need to do now is to come up with a brief description of the ballroom and the dining room and the Hornswoggler's lair. Something interesting about them, because I think I have... Oh, and the overgrown room. So what am I going to say about this place? A place of... how to put it? Part cloakroom, part foyer. Part cloakroom, part foyer. Let's look at the description of it in. Oops, wrong book. Close that. What's it saying here? So pale pink roses choke this room. So that description's exactly the same. Part cloakroom, part foyer. I want to put some treasure to be found here. What sort of treasure could be found here? Among the tattered remnants of cloaks. That's not spelled remnant. Oh well, just for me. I don't need to spell it right. Of cloaks and robes. Some special robe is here. Right, if they want to go hunting through all of the stuff in the room. Let me open up the campaign book. Do we have any magic robes? Is there a section on magic cloaks or robes? In here, let me see the index. Magic rings, magic weapons, potions, scrolls and books, rods, staves and wands, wondrous items, and trade goods. Enchanted oddments. Ooh, masks. Ooh, it could be a mask. They could find an old discarded mask from someone's costume. A boggle mask. What would be a cool mask effect? Among the tattered remnants of cloaks and robes, a lost map, a lost mask, or a half hidden mask. No, hidden mask. Mask of the Lost. What would the Mask of the Lost be? Yeah, so the Boggle Mask, or the Boggin Mask, which is the one from the book, it makes you look like a boggin. So it could just simply be the Boggin Mask, but a Mask of the Lost makes you look like someone... How creepy is this, guys? Makes you look like someone that the viewer knows to be dead. What do you guys think about that? You put on the mask and you look like someone that whoever's looking at you knows to be dead. different person. Maybe it's a loved one, maybe it's an enemy, maybe it's a long lost relative. Mask of the Lost makes you look like someone the viewer knows to be dead. Or Mask of the, yeah. I think that's cool. I think that's super cool. It could be a relative. Yeah, a long lost relative. That's a creepy magic item, but I like it. So it's kind of disguise, right? Because you're not going to look like who you are, but also you're going to draw attention to yourself if you go around looking like people that everyone else is going to see that you're dead, but no one's going to recognize who you are, right? And everyone will disagree about what you look like. So it's great for like thieves, right? You break in somewhere and steal, everyone's going to see that you look differently. They're all going to disagree about what you look like, but you're going to be noticeable. So you can't just wear it in town casually. People are going to like, oh my goodness. That's a really cool magic item. It's situational, super situational. Oh, thanks, Swords and Stones. Morning. Yeah, practical jokes. Oh, that'd be horrible, Violet. Horrible. But hey, players are evil. Okay. So that's a really cool little room. Players can hunt through. Maybe they won't find that. Maybe they will. That's the sort of thing they could trade with the hag or with the witch for sure. Yeah, Crow, exactly. That's a magic item that could be like campaign changing, right? But remember, I think everybody sees them as a different person. So you couldn't really simply replace your loved one and say, hey, look, it's my wife. Or maybe it does look like someone specific. I don't know. Maybe it depends. Anyway, at any rate, I like that. And it's a creepy, think about it, right? If you're talking about an elven ballroom, that's the sort of thing that an elf would wear to a masquerade, right? Like if you think of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, Hope's End, that's the sort of mask that you would expect to find at Hope's End, right? Like a creepy mask that shows you to be someone like who's dead. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Violet. So anyway, I love that. I think patting myself on the back there. I really like that. Really, really like that. Okay. Rafflesia's Prison, I want to do a little bit more with. Yeah, maybe that's it, Bayor. Someone that they all know to be dead. Yeah, so it's whatever the group is. They see it all as someone that they know to be dead. Or maybe it's someone that you know. Whoever when you put it on, you appear to be you appear as someone you know would be dead. Yeah, Violet, exactly. There's so many cool things the players could do with that. But then again, they might just give it away. Okay, so I'm going to have to call it here pretty quick. I'll do some of the rest of this off stream because I got to go. But yeah, you might just appear as your own grandma. Exactly. Oh, yeah, it makes it really risky around a wrong uncle. That's awesome because they're going to see you as the person they're supposed to kill or they're going to see you as well, I guess it depends. If they are, yeah, that's a good one. It seems like it would interact with the wrong uncle at least. Yeah. Well, I think so. I had a ton of fun, Swords and Stones. Maybe you can make it next time, hopefully. I'll try to do these more regularly again. Okay, so ballroom. That's the overgrown room. What's in the ballroom? Let's see. I think I want to add in 2 rot blossoms into this room really quickly. I'm just going to write that here. 2 rot blossoms. That way the players have a bit of a combat encounter automatically when they go in there, or at least 2 that they have to avoid. Okay. And I also want to do 2 bog zombies in hallway. There we go. So there's 2 underneath the water. Under the water level. And they might not jump up. I think I'll have to roll. But something like that. So 2 bog zombies in hallway under the water level. Yeah, you too, Swords. Have a great day. Yeah, bog corpses. That's what they're called. Bog corpses, not bog zombies. So no, Diego, Winter's Daughter I've run Winter's Daughter. I'm running Winter's Daughter for my other group. They're already in the middle of it. And this group, actually, I took the whole idea for Winter's Daughter, and I basically just put it in my last West Marches. And this group, the one that's playing this particular part of the dungeon, they ran through it there. So they already know Winter's Daughter. So no, this is just this is the Rotting Gardens of Rafflesia, which I don't know if Frog is still in the chat. Frog sporting a hat. But Frog sporting a hat created the Rotting Gardens of Rafflesia. It just so happens to be what I'm working on today and adapting for my own adventure. So it's a great adventure, by the way. I'm just taking it and just adding to it, basically. Adapting it for what I need. Okay, ballroom. Let's see the ballroom. Give me some ideas, guys. I'm going to put you to work really quickly. What's going on in the ballroom? Are there dead? Are there bog corpses dancing? Is it spirits? Is it specters? Is it ghosts? Is it just very clearly a place for dancing out in this garden that is overgrown and nasty? Is there a compulsion to dance if you enter into it? Yeah, it's under construction, exactly. I don't know. Here. The dining hall wouldn't be too hard. I can put in creepy food. That's a good thing to do, right? There's a table full of food, teapots, things to eat that say "eat me," basically. Alice in Wonderland. That's not too hard. I can put cool wine on the table from the list. Yeah, Lloyd in The Shining. Yeah, it could be something like that. Oh, that's in the player's book, isn't it? I was like, where's the food? Yeah, it's in the player's book. All right. Frogs about a creepy instrument like a harpsichord with flowers as the pipes. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Each of these things making interesting music, making strange sounds. Maybe the hornswoggler is like one of these plants that like came to life. So they're weird plants that make music that sound like singing or sound like voices. Yeah. They're voices that sound like singing. Okay, so a garden of flowers that sing with human voices. A proto horn swoggler or proto hornswogglers. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. I like that a lot. Creepy and in tone and in flavor with the whole. Let's see. Music from mist, like hummingbirds' chimes that clang in the breeze. I am copying and pasting your suggestion there, Crow. Not report. Do not report. Sorry, I don't want to report you. I'm trying to copy you. There we go. Because I like that a lot. Music like mists, from mist like hummingbirds, chimes that clang to the breeze, plants that give off mist that create colors, etc. Yes. So it's like a psychedelic thing. Okay. Exactly. Steal everything that is not nailed down and on fire. If it's nailed down, steal it. If it's on fire, steal it. But if it's nailed down and on fire, then you can leave it. That's my motto. That's from, basically, that's from 8-Bit Theater. That's what Thief says in 8-Bit Theater. Okay. So I stole even that expression. Let's see. Scooby-Doo. Feed the organ and watch the floor riddle. Play feed on the organ, F-E-E-D, and see your door opens. That's really cool. And that could open the way to the dining room. Although that's more, yeah, like you say, Scooby-Doo. That's more planned. I want this to feel more like decayed. And so this is a prison, not a dungeon. I don't know. Does that make sense? It's not a prison. It's like a cursed, well, it is a prison, but it's like a cursed place as opposed to a dungeon. So this is not designed for people to go through it. Yeah, so, I mean, you could make it really gross. That's what I'll do in the dining room. Quote unquote dining room, right? Flowers with teeth and tongues. Former adherents of the... Because remember, this whole place was cursed by the hag. I want the players to have a healthy terror of the hag. Even though this stuff is kind of beyond her power level, who cares? Making a dungeon like this would be beyond what she could do. I don't care. I want her to be terrifying so that the players, when they eventually meet her, don't even think about trying to fight her. right? That's like that's the goal, is that when they meet her, they're like, okay, we're talking, we're negotiating with a being that could kill us all in an instant if it wants to. I want that. So if this is all the work of the hag, that will help, because the players should not be killing the hag in this adventure. It shouldn't even enter into this campaign. Like that should not come into the equation. So what's in the ballroom and why go in there? There's some magic item that's in the ballroom. Ruby slippers, right? What's in there? I'm going to look through the list. Oh, wait. I should go through my list of magic items that I came up with. Where are those? Let me look at those. You guys remember those? Some of you were there for that stream. We came up with a whole bunch of really cool, like the Chimes of Absalom and all these really, really cool magic items that are specific to this. So Dolmenwood, here we go. Campaign notes, general. I think this is it. Yes, this was it. Yep, here we go. Different magic items we came up with. So we have the Amulet of Refraction, which is it breaks the wearer into different versions of themselves. But that's in Madame Shantywood. I think that's where that is. Yes, and Bone Chimes. Those are actually, although those are in the pit. I kind of already built that out a little bit. So the Chimes of Absalom are what that takes you to Gloomhold. Those are over down there. I could do the Belt of Hindenburg, summons 8 dogs. Right? The Belt of Hindenburg. Could be Rings of Hither and Yon. King Pusskin's Claw, probably not. Yeah, no, that's great that you remembered. That's awesome. Gosh. Maybe none of these really work here. The Cold Heart, frost resisting and fire attracting armor, a lost soul that needs warmth, a cursed elf knight who failed the Cold Prince, Banshees, draws even torch fire into it. That's a cool one. I don't think that makes sense here. Really, the only one I could see putting here would be the Belt of Hindenburg, and I don't think that really works here. So let's come up with a new magic item. Or I'm going to come up with a new magic item. How about that? Let's see. Something that fits with this place. Yeah, that's a great one right there. A floating chandelier. Because remember, I want this to be open air. So I'm going to describe that over here, that this whole place. Let's do that first, because I know that. Open air hedge dungeon, or hedge maze. Hedge maze-like spaces, which wind back on themselves. Open glades, trees, and is it always the night sky? Would that make sense there? I think it's always the night sky. And always an alien night sky. That way they have to do torches and light and stuff like that, so it's dark. But I think that's cool. I'm going to open it, make this a little bigger. So this is that's the general description of the place. So I think there's a floating chandelier in there, which gives off crystal light. Yeah, exactly, Violet. So that's what I was thinking, that this is just coming, what I'm picturing in my mind is like a mix of the movie Legend and the mix of the movie Labyrinth and like, Never Ending Story. Like I get tons of those vibes from Dolmenwood, and then I want also the sort of creepy Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, right? That'd be cool. A sundial that makes it always night in the area, Crow. That's really cool. Could that be in the middle of the corpse flower room? Maybe that's the only way to when it's daylight, some of these things retract. The Hornswoggler can't fight as well in the daylight. Maybe that's it. Yeah, maybe there's a sundial in here that makes it always night. I like that. I like that a lot. I might steal that for a different dungeon, because I don't know if that is something. I do want this to be fairly open so that the players can kind of move between these zones without having to like 1, 2, 3, 4. An endless flute for fine wine. Ooh, Harry, I love that. That's in the dining hall for sure. An endless wine flute with, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up Dolmenwood. I'm going to look at strange, rare beverages. What do we have? Underbrewed vintage. What is that? The Underbrewed vintage, a gourmet red wine from the legendary deceased vinter Wayfellow Underbrewed. It's in dwindling supply and price accordingly. The master's final fermentation is famed for exquisitely robust flavor with undertones of lemon zest and mead. The effect is overindulgence causes an embarrassingly rapid dissolution of muscle control. So that is crazy. If it's the under with endless wine, is it really endless? Oh, how about this? The flute pours from whatever store of that is left in the world. In other words, whenever you tip it, other bottles of it go down, not that flute. So that means there is a limit, right? Because as much of that stuff is in the world, once it's gone, then the flute is empty. Now, my players, one of them's a friar. He certainly will. One of them has already said she will not drink any alcohol because her backstory is she doesn't trust it. She was in the fairy realm for a while and she knows that it's like tricky. And the other guy is a cat, and he hasn't shown himself to be terribly drawn to. No, that's not true. He did drink mead in town. Maybe. The friar will certainly drink it. So I actually like that. I'm going to say endless. I'll know what that means. Endless wine flute with, what was it? I just read it. Dang it. The vintage. Come on. Closed it. Religion in Dolmenwood, elf kindred class, preparing for an adventure, time and movement, dungeons, camping. Religion again. Where'd you go? Lodging and food. Here you are. Lodging and food. Underbrewed's vintage. I could also make it Lady Mauve. Yeah. Of Lady Mauve. That's better. With Lady Mauve. Because that's the other one's a mortal wine. This one's a fairy one. So endless wine flute with Lady Mauve. Which would be hilarious, right? If the players continually use it, maybe a fairy lord who loves Lady Mauve has his whole collection used up by the players, and he comes and finds them, and he's like, challenges them to a duel or something like that. That would be great. Wine flute with Lady Mauve. Okay, so that's there. That's something they could trade as well. Because remember, part of this, the reason they're coming here is just for fun, experience, to learn more about the swamp, to see what's here, and also to do a dungeon, but also to find something that they could trade with the witch in the wood so that she can tell them how to get to the hag. That's their ultimate goal. That's why they're coming here. So, let's see. What else is here? Going back a little bit. The Dancing Gown of Night from Legend. Oh, Soul, that is so good. So you put it on and you become that creepy dancing thing. Yeah. Darknesses, the wedding gown of the Bride of Darkness. How about that? I don't know what it does, but that's here. That's really creepy, but I like it. I really like that. Okay. And it's just dancing when they get there. Dancing by itself. Yeah. That's so good. Now, are there creatures in there? Yes. No. Maybe. Random encounters. That's what I'll leave on there. Because we have 2 rot blossoms in here. We have 2 bog corpses in here. We've got the weird wood guards in here. We've got the bog salamander in Rafflesia's prison. And we've got the hornswoggler. Plus random encounters and the corpse flower room. I'm going to say there are 12 rot blossoms in here. But do not activate. Unless 1 through 3 on random encounter list. And then the 4 is the hornswoggler. That is so good. All right. So there's 12 rot blossoms in there, but they only wake up if the players either push them or if they roll a random encounter in that room. And then there's still a 1 in 4 chance it'll be the hornswoggler. Okay, so let's see. Going back up a little bit. That's true, Frog. One player will always eat or drink something, no matter how weird it is. Let's see, Violet. Refereeing, I have seen 2 camps with fire, and they're definitely a fun and entertaining thing because they are always way more off the leash than clerics and knights. Yeah, I feel like that's true. My player picked the Friar specifically because he wanted to be Friar Tuck without being Friar Tuck. So he's like, I want to play Friar Tuck. So he did. Yeah, Crow. I love that. So in the ballroom, make that more of like a role-playing room, or in the dining hall maybe. Yeah, the mist folks. I'm gonna say 3 mist figures who think they are still waiting for the lady to arrive. Don't realize that they're trapped and cursed. Something like that. And they each have a little bit of different information, which I can improv. That's good. Boom. Awesome. So that makes that room really interesting, right? Because you have a creepy effect, you have a role-playing encounter, which the players can do as much as little. There's the wedding ground, and then there's just a chance for random encounters, of course, anywhere. Yeah, Violet, the mask. If they find the mask, the viewer knows to be dead. And the lady technically isn't dead, but maybe she is. Maybe this counts as her being dead. Yeah. Could count as her being dead. What's interesting, of course, is that what I like about this mask is that someone that the viewer knows to be dead. So the person might really be dead, but if you don't know that they are, you won't see them that way. Right? So you have to know that the person's dead in order to see them that way. That's a really interesting element of it. Or it could be the other way around, now that I think about it. What would be more interesting? What do you guys think? A mask that shows the viewer someone that they know to be dead, or a mask that shows you to be someone dead that the viewer doesn't know? No, that's not interesting, because you just appear to be someone that they have no idea who. Yeah, that's not interesting. So I like this better. Okay, so now I think this is all good. The overgrown room is good. The ballroom is good. This rot blossom garden is good, because that's going to be a passageway through. The fountain room is awesome because it's got these wordwood guards. It's got an alternate path through. If you want to skip the rot blossom room, you can just go through there. There's bog creatures over here, though. The entrance is a cool little, flavorful beginning. The ballroom is really cool. The dining hall and the Hornswoggler's lair, and then Rafflesia herself. I want to adapt that a little bit. Yeah, Harry. So it randomly produces disgusting food. Could there be? What if you guys think? What if there is a? What if there is a? Like, not an adventurer, but like an actual person who got dragged here by the Hornswoggler, escaped, found their way into the dining room, and now they're eating, and they can't stop eating. So they're they're just gorging on this food and drinking the wine and but they're human, or they were human, or they are. What if it's like one of the members of the adventuring group that got lost in the bog? They fell off the boat. They came up on shore. They found Rafflesia. They poked their head in because they heard their voice being called. They got grabbed by the Hornswoggler. But when I say the adventuring group, I mean the adventuring group that knows what's going on here. The adventuring group that captured Brother Bedegar and took him to the pit. That's cool, because then that connects them. Yeah, exactly. So they can't leave, Harry. They can be dragged away, but they will literally come back here as soon as they can to consume the food. They're cursed here. Yeah, Crow. And so they do remember, and while they're eating, they can maybe tell the players, no, we know who Bedegar is. Yeah, we were going up the river. We're trying to find the pit. We're trying to find this stuff. Yeah. Just leave me alone. I want to eat. Oh, come and sit. Come and eat. And the players are going to be probably clever and not eat fairy food. But if they do, this is Dolmenwood. If they fail their save, I am okay with them getting cursed to just have to sit here and eat. And it's like, well, you chose to eat fairy food that was obviously very clearly cursed. The dude was eating. You failed your save. You lost your character. Unless someone wants to drag you away, bring you to something where you can have a remove curse and have it cast on you, you're stuck. I don't mind that. That could even become their next quest. If they're like, nope, we gotta save this person who just did this really stupid thing. Okay, so who? Did I have a list of NPCs from that? The Missing Priest? I don't think I did. I had a group of adventurers. Oh, I do. Havelock the Rogue, Medea the Shadow, Swiftcliff the Bregel, Joshin the Pious, and Savrith of the Desert. Those are the 5 that are currently there. Swiftcliff sounds maybe the most likely. Swiftcliff the Bregel. Joshin the Pious. Well, it could be Joshin the Pious. It could be a cleric down here. Quote unquote pious. I don't think he actually is. I think he's a brutal dude. But I kind of like the idea of this adventuring group. So maybe it's another person who used to belong to this group. Let's see who. Plus, what's a good name for a gluttonous knight? Gluttonous fighter who can't stop eating. Not Galloway. They already had Galloway. He was their guide up to Tech Wells. What about Haddon? Hamfast? One of my players already is Hamfast. Well, he's Samwise actually, but Hamfast could be Ham. Haddock? Captain Haddock? Factimus. I like that. I like Haddock. How about Haddock? I know it's like a Tintin reference. Haddock. I like Haddock. Okay, plus Haddock, who is gorging at Porkins. Exactly, Porkins. I can't believe they named him Porkins. Come on, guys. He was gorging at Rafflesia. Is it Rafflesia or Rafflesia? I always forget Rafflesia. I've said it. You'd think Rafflesia. You'd think I would know it. I've written it enough here. Who's gorging at Raffles? Rafflesia. Okay, there we go. So it's Haddock. Isn't Haddock a kind of fish? That's perfect then. Haddock the fighter, gorging helplessly on the cursed feast, still gracing the many long tables. Have you guys seen, well, of course, some of you have seen Legend. Remember the horrible food? Remember when they go through that little Darkness's lair, and it's this horrible table of like delicious but obviously evil stuff like black apples and beasts that have their eyes still in them. And Legend is like the number one. Legend and Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, those two things combine to make this setting in my mind. I put those two together in my mind. Legend and Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. And then there's like, a healthy dose of, Labyrinth and Never-Ending Story and stuff like that. But those two are front and center in my head. Okay. So Haddock the fighter, gorging helplessly on cursed feast, still gracing the many long tables. And if they grab him away, he fights them. So that can be the encounter. If they try to save him, he can fight them. And so they can either kill him or knock him out. Maybe he has equipment on him. Maybe he has good stuff on him. Maybe they'll want that. Exactly, some comestibles. So when it comes to food, fancy food, we're going to have larks, tongues, and aspic. I'm just going to write this down here so I don't forget. Food. Just, food of all kinds, but especially larks, tongues, and aspic. Larks, tongues, and aspic. I'm going to make this a little smaller just because it's a little bit too big there. 50. And we're going to go here. Oops, the whole thing should be left. Left, not centered. Left. There we go. Boom. There we go. Larks, tongues, and aspic. Larks, tongues, and aspic. We're going to do whole suckling pig, of course. Unicorn rump. There we go. Unicorn rump. Quite evil. You guys ever play oh, Harry Riven, really. It's long, And there are parts of it that are, I would say, slow. But once you get into the stuff about any time fairies come up, anytime you get into fairy or it starts to talk about fairy or fairy magic starts to happen, even the way it talks about magicians and the whole background of the world, it's just brilliant. Yeah, roasted cockatrice, perfect. Do any of you guys ever play the Magic the Gathering, the what's it called, the Outlands expansion? Not the Outlands, I forget what it's called. It's early on. It was the vampire world where the dude had one vampire lord had taken over everything. Anyway, there was a card from that set that was called Feast of Unicorns, or Feast for Unicorns. Feast, I forget what it's called. Anyway, Feast of Unicorns. And I always remembered it because it was like this this dead unicorn roasting in its head, and the flavor text was like, only the vilest creatures have ever tasted this dish, but I forget what it said, something about it being undeniably delicious or something like that. Like eating a unicorn is about the most evil thing you could do, but it tastes really good. Let's see. Maids of the Lake. Yeah. Totally. Maids of the Lake. That's a very good. Breaded Maids of the Lake. Maids of the Lake. And then, of course, yes, breaded Breggle. I'm going to leave that there. Oh, wait, hold on. One last thing. Maid of the Lake. They have Maids of the Lakes on the main dishes, fancy food section. It says, a Dolmenwood delicacy, thigh-sized translucent peak squid fried in garlic butter. Yeah, that's there. And then breaded Breggle, and then I think it's going to be Grimalkin tail. There we go. A Grimalkin tail. Okay. So clearly we're talking about horrible things here. Okay. Yeah, roasted cockatrice, braised Breggle. I like braised Breggle quite a lot. I said breaded Breggle. It should have been braised. Oh well. Black and red checkerboard apples. That's cool, Soul. I like that a lot. Yeah, I'm gonna put black apples and stuff like that for sure. Yeah, let's see. Black apples and then red, or black and red checkerboard apples. It's pretty good. Red and black checkerboard apples. That's so cool. Okay, that's good. I think that's enough food. They're not going to eat it, but I just want to hammer it home for them. Now, really quickly, what is he carrying that would be of such value that such that the players might be able to get it from him? Well, he's carrying some money, of course, which he won't care if they steal. 140 silver pieces in his large purse. And a sword of some value. A silver sword. How about a silver sword? That's good, right? Silver sword. Because that's very useful for anti-fairy stuff. I think that's very useful. And then he has enough self to fight back if they try to take his silver sword, but not enough if they take his silver. So they can steal that, and then he can talk. He can tell them about the plan. He doesn't know that they've captured Sir Bedegar, but he does know the whole leading up to that, and he knows that the goal was to get to the pit. That Father Gimes went missing. They tried to pull Bedegar's arm. Didn't happen there. Yeah, I didn't know that Meddler was a fruit either. Quince jam. I just read through A Midsummer Night's Dream again, and Peter Quince. Quince jam just makes me think of jam made of Peter Quince. Okay, so there we go. Closing that. Good. So that's good. That's a good room too. Skeletal. How about 4 skeletons at table that will rise if random encounter is rolled. So there are 4 skeletons there as well. That way there's some other... Make sense? I don't know. I think that's cool. Because it makes sense. It's a table where things have been dead for a long time. And so they'll rise and fight if you roll a random encounter while you're there. Now, this, I think, is another thorny vine trap hall. Thorny vine trap hall. And I think, again, the idea there is just that the players can choose to fight their way through, or they can go through the Rot Blossom room. Okay. So far now that means these are all done. Hornswoggler's Lair and Rafflesia's Prison. I think Rafflesia's Prison is basically done because there's this bog salamander there, and there is the rose pendant, and that's a valuable thing to get from here. Of course, the jar of water that brims with the corpse water. That's that's also valuable. And so now, is that big? Let me look. It might be big, too big for the overflowing urn. A fragile urn is delicate. Okay, so you could carry it. And there's a jewel down here too. Yeah. So I think Rafflesia is actually done. I think that's totally fine. There's no story here, right? They don't have to save her. This is all environmental. Right? There's an environmental story here, but it's entirely environmental. If the players don't put it together, then who cares? Right? That's what I love dungeons like this, where there's nothing to do, right? There's not like you have to be here for a specific reason except treasure and information and lore, but it's like world building lore. And it's just a fun dungeon to like explore as much as you want of it. And if the players are like, nope, we're out, well, okay, then they're out. And they don't see all of this stuff. Yeah, Ulfhammer, so I'm taking the Rotting Gardens of Rafflesia, which was by one of the people who's in the room, or at least was in the room, I don't know. Hasn't commented for a while. Frog Sporting a Hat was created by Sam McKay. That's actually who it is, Sam McKay here. Yeah, there you are, Sam. Hope you're okay if I say your name. I mean, it's right here. But yeah, exactly. That's right, Violet. If they don't explore, I'll just put it in Fairyland later. None of this work is useless, and I can always just add this all together. Awesome. Okay, that means just the Hornswoggler's Lair. Now I have to have the stats for the Hornswoggler, which I haven't put together. It's a bear. Why am I wondering? It's a bear, obviously. But, of course, it has to be a bear plus, right? You can't just use the bear stats. So what is the Hornswoggler actually, besides a bear? Well, it has its mimicry ability, which is an out-of-combat ability. And its bite is actually a brain suck. And so instead of its bear hug, so it's a bear. So Hornswoggler. Bear stats. But instead of hug, if its bite hits, save versus, what would it be? What kind of a save would it be here? Paralysis. Yes, save versus paralysis. Paralysis. Or be stunned and take D4. Is it wisdom or intelligence? I think it'd be intelligence. Damage. I really like attacking stats. Hit points are fine, but I really like attacking stats. Exactly. So it stuns you and it starts to suck your brain. Okay. So it's a horrible bear. There we go. Now the Hornswoggler's Lair. What is the Hornswoggler? I know what it looks like. But what's in its lair? Obviously lots of bodies. No, because it puts them in the corpse flower room. Evidence of what it was. No, because it was one of these horrible flowers that grew to be a strange thing. So what else is it here? The thing I like about this is that basically between these two documents, I don't need anything else open. Right? I can just have my book, and with this map and with this few text over here on the left, I can just run from this image. I'm going to save it again so I don't accidentally delete it. Okay, so what else is there, guys? One more bit of magic, or one more bit of lore. One more bit of something. Yikes. What is back there? Man, I wish. So I don't want to do this, Frog, because it's your intellectual property. But I really would like to put this onto my blog. What do you? Would that be okay, Frog? If you're still around, I would like to post this to my blog, and of course I'll link to your adventure, your original adventure, if you're okay with that. Because I think that this is a cool thing to like give to people, if people want to download it or use it. Awesome, thank you. Of course I'll link to your adventure, but for sure. Yeah, Violet. So that's a good point. Is there a hag relation? Yeah. So the Hornswoggler was of course created by the hag. All of this stuff happened by the hag. So I don't know. Good question there. What would be the choice here? Maybe it has. I mean, so the easy thing to do would be to put bodies in its lair, and they're lootable, right? So the players can run through and grab stuff, make a magic item, on the ground there. So I wonder if that would be possible. So I just got to say this really quickly, Frog. The main loop of your dungeon is so good that it's just like I can imagine taking this like 20 different ways and expanding on it because that loop is just so strong. So let's see, Crow. Plant victims. Yeah, okay. It makes mimics of victims of its victims to look at and talk to in their own voices. Crow, you are so scary, man. Your adventures must be horrifying to your players. That's scary. Plant mimics. I don't want to do. So maybe they're non-combat creatures. Maybe they're non-combat. Oh shoot! What if it creates mimics of the things or like plants that have vague faces of the things that it's killed. And so they can talk to a whole bunch of vaguely humanoid plants who are scattered about the room. And there might be like an NPC they can talk to in there. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I don't know who I would put in there, but that's a creepy thing. They're not human anymore. They're not people. Yeah. Creepy. They're plants, but they're plants that's so creepy. Yeah, exactly. It's body snatcherish. I like that. Makes full of flowers that have vaguely humanoid features and that can speak. Or speak is the wrong word. Maybe when they're moved, they create this sort of like... No, they can speak. Yeah, they can speak with snatches of memories. Gosh, how would this be useful, though? I mean, the players could always come back here if they know somebody who was snatched by the Hornswoggler. Roll on the general rumors table. I don't know. Each time. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really help them in their adventure. I like to make everything in the adventure helpful, right? Look, so something that they could use practically in this adventure. The mask is not so practical, although it could be, I suppose. But it's certainly useful for the witch, why they're here. The same thing with the wedding gown. The same thing with the endless wine flute. The same thing with the pot and the brooch down here. Yeah, so Gami, I see. You said so they have to come here to get your health, your memories back. Maybe if you crush the flowers and drink a mix of them, you get their memories, or maybe you get some of your brain power, or increase your intelligence. Could be something like that. Yeah, something like that, Crow. Could be Gami, could be. Maybe that's right. Maybe they're stuck there. Yeah, one of these things is like, how about this? One of these things is like Rafflesia's steward, and it's been here the longest, and so it has the most memory. Maybe it is even kind of like the Hornswoggler's own thought. And so it's like there's one of them who's like, yes, yes, I can tell you, I can tell you. Um, that's creepy. One was Rafflesia's, oops, yeah, Rafflesia's steward knows how to find the hag. There we go. Simple enough. And now how do you find the hag? Yeah, exactly, Violet, exactly. How to find the hag. What's suitably fairy-ish? Um, Something like whenever you enter a hollow, uh, hey Goth, I'm quite literally about to shut down in about 15 minutes, but but I'm glad you could make it. I've been running it way later than I thought I was going to. Anyway, I was intending to stop at about 1, but this was too much fun, and we got so close to finishing. I think we can finish really quickly. All I need is this: how do you find the hag, guys? What's the mechanism by which you find the hag? Could it be you take a particular kind of wood into a clearing and you drop it, or you offer some blood, or you follow a particular creature into the mist, or you walk backwards into a clearing, or you have to completely not be thinking about the hag and her lair in order to think about it, in order to find it. You have to whistle a particular song. Like what's the mechanism there? Oh, how'd your session go, Goth? Really, I've just been working on the expanding the. I've said this a few times. I was expanding the Rotting Gardens of Rafflesia because my players are heading there in the next session, and I wanted to expand it into a full session dungeon. Um, um, oh, Soul. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's so good. So you close your eyes at midnight in the Addle, and you have to drop into one of the black pools. And what you find is that you actually come up on the other side. That's at least one way of finding that. Wherever you come up in that pool, it will be a little pool in her. Um, I really like that. So, um, one way to find the hag. One way to find her. Smear your eyes with blackbird's blood, right? Because she's the sister of the Queen of Blackbirds. She hates her. Smear your eyes with blackbird's blood and dive into one of the bottomless black pools. Bottomless black pools. When you surface, you will be in her glade. That's creepy. I like that. I think that's what I'm going to do. One way to find her. There's other ways. That's not the only way, but that is one way to find her. Okay. That's also true, Gummy. No, no one in the party is a young mortal male, so unfortunately they can't use that to their advantage. There's a Grimalkin, there's an old friar, and there's a female frost elf. So that would be one way. But I think I like this. This is one way. So this is what they can find out. The steward will tell what happened to this place, can tell what happened to this place, can tell what happened to Rafflesia, and how to find the hag. And he is eager for someone to take the hag down. So he's going to tell, but they're not going to take the hag. I mean, this is clearly a place. That's it. That's the whole dungeon. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to close it, and I'm going to open it as a separate file here. Here we go. There we go. There we go. So you come in at the entrance. You have this for the glory of, because I'm going to be using this, right? You come in and it says, for the glory of Lady Rafflesia, and then written in later jagged script, may she ever bloom and rot. Towards the right, there's water pooling. Towards the left, there's the sound of music. Right, because there's the ballroom, and that's always playing this weird, creepy, ethereal music. Remember, this place is open air, hedge maze-like spaces with wind, which wind back on themselves, open glades, trees, and always an alien night sky. So it's not that there's just two paths out, it's that the rest of them always circle back, but these two large ways lead to the other locations. Water pooling from the fountain, two bog zombies, and you go into here, there's a fountain with all the stuff in the fountain here. There was tons of gold, or 200 gold coins down there in the fountain room. There was the silver, there's this scroll of Shield of Faith. It's gonna have to be some other scroll or something else down there. But then there's the clogged drain pipe, which leads right to Rafflesia's room, and it skips this. Then there's, over here, the Rot Blossoms, the Overgrown room, part cloakroom, part foyer. You have the tattered remnants of cloaks and robes, and you find the Mask of the Lost, which makes you look like someone that the viewer knows to be dead. That's what it does. That's the magic item there. So it makes you look like someone the viewer knows to be dead. Then you can pass right through the only ways that are open would be into here. And then, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But then the ballroom is locked off between thorny vines. So if you're going to go in there, it's going to be a kind of a mess. And then Rafflesia's prison is also locked off with these thorny vines. And then there's this room full of rot flowers and other kind of flowers, a big garden room, a giant garden with a section of huge body-holding flowers. That's where all the bodies are coming from, the corpses that they see throughout the dungeon, such as seals, such as skeletons. They're not really skeletons, they're weird wood, and the bog bodies. The gray ooze has been replaced with the hornswoggler in the random encounter list. The first time it's going to be the sound of its voice. The second time if they roll it again will be the attack. And then rot flowers, because there's literally flowers growing everywhere through here. Dudes, I think this is a great dungeon. I mean, it's not, I can't take credit for it. Starts off, I can't take sole credit for it, because again, it starts off, I had a great base from Frog's Adventure. And then you guys gave me so many good ideas, but I think this is super good, and I think my players are going to have a great time. And what I really like about this is that up until this point, we have been playing, it's felt very medieval, because they've just been in town. It's just been like a regular fantasy setting, right? And this will, and then they went into the bog, and things started to get a little weird. Things got a little strange. And then they're going to go here, and it's going to feel super bizarre and super strange. Yeah, Gami, as long as they can do that, as long as I can do that scream, that shriek that Donald Sutherland does at the end. I don't think I can do that, but yeah, we'll have one of them look like Donald Sutherland. And this is going to feel both fairy-ish, but boggy, right? It's going to feel swampy, and they're in the Hag's Addle, so it's going to fit with that. There's this sense of rot and growth and beauty and blooming. It's going to be fragrant, but also kind of terrifying. And it's going to be this alien night sky above them, the open glades and trees, and it's an open air in another world. It's going to be so good. Oh man, this is going to be so good. I think this will take more than one session for us to get through. I have a feeling that they are going to try to push through all of this because, well, they don't really have a frontline fighter. Oh, wait a minute. There's one last thing I have to add. Rafflesia is an elven lady. She has to have a rune that she can teach to the enchanter if they happen to free her. I don't know how they do it, but she has to have that. I have to add that in. But I can do that in my own mind. That's right. That's fine. But that absolutely has to happen because I have an enchanter in the party, and the way I'm ruling it is that enchanters have, in order to get more runes, they have to meet fairy lords and ladies who can grant them, basically like warlock style, grant them their power, teach them the rune, and let them use it. And so, yeah, this is a perfect opportunity. So that's a big reason for the enchanter to keep pushing forward to try to free the lord or the lady here, Rafflesia herself. How he's going to do that is something beyond me. It would require making a deal with the hag to let her free. Or killing the hag, which is just not going to happen. I mean, they're not going to do that. They're level 1. They can't kill the hag. even if they wanted to try. I just don't think they can do that. All right, guys. Well, I am gonna piece here. Thank you all for hanging out and for the ideas. This has been super, super fun. I'm gonna try to do this. I like shorter dungeons for this very reason, that you can kind of start it and stop it in one whole go. So this has been great. Thank you especially to Sam, to Frog, because I mean, yeah, this is a great adventure to build off of and to start, and it's a great adventure on its own. But I'm gonna put it together, and really, I think I'm just gonna post this one picture, and then I'm gonna do I'll just link to the adventure, and then people can put them together, because not everything here is in the yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna call it there. Thanks, everybody. Hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I will hopefully see you guys next time. Peace.